Recording it. Namo Om Vishnu Padhaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pachaline Nivasisha Sunya Bhari Ashtatara Satanine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Shri Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna. Welcome everybody once again. Thank you for joining us. We have 2,000 devotees with us this evening. Welcome. So we're carrying on with part 4, and no matter how much I prepare my slides, each time I do a live presentation, I always change the slides. So I've been changing around a few slides today for today's presentation. But just as a quick recap, we are speaking about the stage of Shravan, and we're highlighting that the practices at this stage of our spiritual life are more internal. So more internal development and our relationship with Krishna through the medium of chanting the holy name. Yeah. And we get this nice picture, which I explains the unlocking the treasure chest of the holy name. It's like the sun rising. So as one goes through the stage of Nama Parad, Namabhas, and then ultimately Sudanam, then everything becomes revealed. Remember, we were speaking about this principle of revelation through the holy name, as opposed to a practice which was done in historical times called Siddhapanali, if you remember that discussion. So we followed on from that. And then we got some basic advice, not basic, but very valuable advice that's given by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur before one might enter into what we're describing as serious bhajan of the holy name. All right, so some advice there. We'll just go through this quickly. Obviously, chanting rounds, fixed number of rounds without disturbance, and keeping good association. Yeah, as we know, it's a very important principle in our spiritual practice to associate with Vaishnavas. Today I was taking lunch with about 2,000 Vaishnavas in the temple room. It was today is the birthday appearance day of His Grace Jananivas Prabhu, and there was a feast, and took place in the temple room, and it was packed. The community has so much love for Jananivas. So I was happily taking lunch with 2,000. I was in good association, surrounded by 2,000 wonderful devotees and more. And amazing how, anyway, I won't go off on a tangent here. To feed that many people, it definitely goes on by the internal energy of the Lord. There's no way it can happen by the external energy. Anyway, let's get back here. So, yeah, refraining from worldly lifestyle. Yeah, Nam Bhajan, it means one of commitment to a spiritual life. It's not a weekend thing. And we spoke about being enthusiastic, confident enthusiasm, that Krishna is very merciful. So at some point, he will bless us with his extraordinary mercy. So we should have confidence in that principle. We spoke about that. And here's a definition: confident in intelligent enthusiasm. So faithful, we have faith in Krishna's kindness and in Krishna's mercy. Yeah. So faithful endeavor guided by Krishna conscious intelligence. So we have to go about our spiritual life using our buddhi, intelligence. Okay. And trying to find where we left off, coming up there soon. We mentioned about this as well. It comes from nectar of devotion. You might be familiar with this, that Krishna is generally um, awarding bhava, that seed of love, even if one Krishna, even if one is developed the ruchi and the shakti, then Krishna is often slow, might be slow in awarding love in the form of bhava. Does anyone know why? Why
No,
is Krishna? Go on.
no, I don't.
Why is he slow in awarding love?
I think is he testing us to make sure
Yeah,
absolutely that we are 100% ready for it.
yeah, that's correct. He's testing us, but it's something else as well.
He doesn't want to give bhakti because he gets bound
Yeah,
otherwise.
that's it, because love controls Krishna. So this love controls God. So it's not, it doesn't, so it comes by his grace. Yeah, because Krishna's not, he's a bit slow in awarding this love, but he does award it when if to a sincere devotee. Yeah. So, we mentioned that you may be doing everything right in spiritual life. You're trying your hardest, you're very sincerely practicing, and you're doing everything, but still you might experience what's called in Christian circles, excuse me, something called the silence of God. Yeah. And I won't go into it, but I just yesterday or the day before I came across a wonderful sermon by one Christian who's speaking about this principle of the principle is that something's wonderful going to happen in your spiritual life when you feel distant from God. So he's testing us. So yeah. So therefore we must persevere and we must be enthusiastic as well. We should be enthusiastic. We must persevere. Why? Because sooner or later, Krishna will give his extra special mercy. I mean, he's giving his mercy anyway. And I'm sure we can all tell wonderful stories of how we felt Krishna's grace and mercy. Yeah? But the ultimate mercy in obtaining divine love for Krishna. Yeah, Krishna will, be merciful. Okay? Let's not get, because we covered this last week. Let's go forward a bit. Trying to find, okay. I think did we touch this? Did we touch on this? And one becomes quite possessive. Yeah. From the as one goes forward in their chanting and they develop affection for the holy name, there's a certain it's a symptom of prema, but it is symptomatic of prema, but for one who's not a prema, then they still will feel like the holy name is mine. There's a sense of possessiveness. Yeah. And it's like a greedy, do you see it says here? Like a greedy person hoards his wealth, you know? A greedy person always counts how much money they have, always hoards their wealth. So when one develops affection and attachment for the Krishna in the form of his holy name, one is always scheming, always looking forward to, and always happy to chant. One has is they've got a really precious possession. And then the mood is that they have, in one sense, their holy name belongs to them, and it's their special thing. Yeah, and that should be the, of all of the possessions that we have mobile phones, we have houses, we have a bank balance. But the best possession that we have is our japa. That japa beads. This should be very dear to us, japa beads. Yeah. I had this realization the other day because these beads I've had for many years. I've had these beads for about 30 years. And they broke the other day. I was in shock. I was devastated. Not so, but then I got them fixed. I managed to find someone, and I won't go through the whole story. It was a whole adventure. But I got them fixed, and I'm very happy with getting them fixed. The point I'm making here is that as we grow in affection for the holy name, the holy name is like our beloved child, It's something that we have affection for. So this is one of the symptoms of someone who's making advancement. Of course, we're not just attached to the wood, but we're attached because it's the means for coming closer to Krishna, the form of his holy name. Okay, so, and this is where we left off last week. You may have heard of this principle that the holy name is not dependent on diksha. So I'm going to look at that a little bit. Yeah, so this is verse here is from Majjhila, you can see 15:108. Yeah. So Lord Chaitanya, he's describing the glories of the holy name. So why do we take initiation then if the holy name is not dependent on it? One does not have to undergo initiation or execute the activities. That's called Purusha Charana, something like that. Required before initiation. You simply vibrate. Can anyone offer an answer to that? Why do we need to take initiation then?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, is it like an insurance policy of sort?
You can explain more, expand upon that.
Well, once we connect to Parampara, we're in the line, we'll be forcefully dragged to the destination, if not in this life, and many more to come. Since you joined, you got hooked into the system, you can't escape. Krishna promises that, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's a very principle that you cannot. So you get, in one sense, I think you're saying that we get extra power, we get extra mercy to keep us on the path. Yeah. Even
Yes,
if
that
we may,
Sincere commitment also, our commitment,
yeah,
our sort of like serious commitment. Otherwise, I suppose, we'll say we'll chant today, or, I haven't chanted today, I'll do it tomorrow. But once you take
Yeah.
initiation, you committed to your spiritual master that you're going to do it every day. And you're going to follow the four principles because you did it in front of Krishna. You took the vows in front of Krishna and your spiritual master, your Diksha Guru. So that is a commitment on your part.
Yeah, that's a
that you-
wonderful answer. Yes. Yes, that's very wonderful explanation. Yeah, you have made a commitment. Imagine if there was no such thing as initiation or vows.
You wouldn't be so serious. You would be,
Yeah, we wouldn't be.
like, I'll do it today, tomorrow. It's not there. It's not there for you to do. It's just when you feel like it.
Yeah.
And then it wears off eventually. You will not do anything then because you can get away with not doing it.
Yeah, definitely. I think I can speak for myself. If I didn't promise my guru to chant 16 rounds, there's a good chance I wouldn't be chanting 16 rounds now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I've made a sankalpa. I've made a promise in front of my guru, Londonishwara, and all the Vaishnavas. Yeah, so basically what's coming out here is that the holy name is not dependent on initiation, but we are. Anyway, the holy name is not dependent on initiation, but the sadhaka is. Yeah. And you very nicely mentioned the principle of taking shelter of the spiritual master. Yeah. So, and also we have the Pancharatrika system. So that means deity worship, which is embraced by Gaudiya Vaishnavas. There's temples everywhere and there's deities everywhere in our movement. And this helps to purify us for Nam Bhajan in many different ways. Yeah. And to worship the deity, one has to receive what's known as Diksha mantra. Yeah, Gayatri mantra. Yeah. And therefore, yeah, so in essence, yeah, the holy name is not, but we are dependent on initiation for those reasons that you've mentioned. So yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? You can imagine, yeah, would we be chanting every day if we didn't promise or have that ceremony, that samskara? There's a good chance not. So unless, if one has taste and a shakti for the holy name, then there is one sense you could say there'd be no need actually, but all Vaishnavas do take Diksha. That's a principle given by Krishna, Tatvidi Panipadhena. So it's a principle. But yes, but to get to the stage to get through Anata Nivritti, as Mother Gayatri was nicely bringing out, to get through the mess, to get through the muck in the heart, then we need to be linked up via the spiritual master. Yeah, so, all right, so it's not dependent on initiation, but we are, okay. And now I'm going to speak, this is something from the Hari Bhakti Vilas. This is 6 aspects of mantra cultivation. Now, the Maha Mantra is not the only mantra. There is many mantras in Veda. There's many mantras that is given in different traditions to the spiritual master, to disciple. It plays quite a big role in the Vedic line. And Hari Bhakti Vilas Sanatana Goswami is speaking about 6 aspects of mantra cultivation. So we're going to look at it from the perspective of Maha Mantra, chanting the Maha Mantra. Although the verse isn't explicitly only directed to the Maha Mantra. Yeah. Oh, it does. Yeah. Sorry. Let me read this at the end there. 6 as act. Yeah. So, Sanatana Goswami has made the correlation with japa of the Maha Mantra. So we're going to go through that. Okay. The first thing, I think we mentioned this before, that it's a bit deep to understand, but it's worth trying to understand that the Maha Mantra is not a combination of letters. Yeah, it certainly looks like it if you write it down on a piece of paper, but it's not. It's directly Radha and Krishna. Yeah. Now, to try to understand this, if what was the examples? If the deity, are the deities a mantra? When the curtains open, are we looking at deities or are we looking at a mantra?
Deities.
Yeah, we're looking at deities. Now, the Maha Mantra is not, in one sense, it's called a mantra just for a direction or a grasp of its practice, but actually it's not, it's above, it is basically what I'm trying to say is it is Radha Krishna. Yeah, as much as the deities are not a mantra, in the same way, the Maha Mantra is not just letters. The deities are not just letters. The deities are not a mantra. The Maha Mantra is not just letters. It is Radha Krishna. Yeah. Now,
Question here.
please, yeah.
Because when we are chanting Hare Krishna, we sort of try to look at the mantra and read the Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. But then what are we looking at? We read and chant. And that way the concentration intensifies.
Yeah.
But the mantra is not a set of letters. Then what are we looking at?
Yeah, so thank you for bringing that question out because you just hear me out and I'll explain a bit more. Basically, welcome to Madhu Mongol. He's just joined us.
Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna. Welcome
Thank you,
back.
Gayatri.
Hare Krishna.
Well, Gayatri tipped you off. Hare Krishna.
Sorry, it took me ages to remember.
Yes, Hare Krishna. So basically, the Supreme Krishna, Radha and Krishna, they're behind a curtain. That curtain is the 16 names. Yeah, it's like a curtain. Yeah. Now that curtain can be drawn back by someone who's chanting without offense. Yeah. And also the knowledge of to some degree, the knowledge about the truths of the mantra and the cultivation of the mantra to the perfectional stage. So that is like a curtain that draws. So yeah, in one sense, you're right, Rajkishore, it's letters, but that's the external. When we chant without offense, those curtains of so-called syllables and names opens up to Radha Krishna. Name, form, qualities, and pastimes. Yeah. So now, Sanat, does that make it a little bit more clear where we're going here? Yeah. So
I'm just thinking,
yeah,
when we chanting, it's not letters and just names. It's personalities. It's
yeah, that's very nice.
Radha and Krishna.
Personality. Yeah,
It's personal. It's like, like we say, Krishna is in the name. The holy name is Krishna,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So
That's
everything's
perfect.
in the holy
Personality.
name. Their
Yeah,
personalities, yeah.
yeah, very nice. And my spiritual master, he was mentioned a couple of years ago. He kept on mentioning this point, which I can't difficult, but really deep point to grasp, is that when we are chanting and we're chanting without offense, then it's not us chanting. You can get your head around that one. It's actually Radha and Krishna appearing within our physical being. Yeah, it's pretty deep, but so
It's
let's
funny sometimes. Can I say something? It's funny. Sometimes it feels like it's someone else inside you. And it's relishing more than other days when you feel like it's not you.
yeah, it's the idea. It's Radha and Krishna. Yeah. Now let's just look at these 6 aspects of mantra cultivation, specifically in regards to this. So the first, mana samharanam. Okay, this means to focus the mind, as we've spoken about, and we're going to speak more as well on this point. Yeah, focusing the mind on the transcendental sound and withdrawing it from all other sense objects. Any mantra you have, this is what you want to achieve. You want to withdraw, you want to focus your mind and withdraw it from anything else. So any guru who gives any mantra in the Vedic line, this is what they would teach the disciple. This is what the disciple will aim to achieve. First one, mana shamharanam. So the ability to focus on the transcendental sound and withdraw it. Yeah. Next one is shaucham. So that means lifestyle has to accompany the chanting of the mantra. Yeah, so lifestyle in that sense, shaucham means purity. So purity of lifestyle or external cleanliness. Yeah. So in other words, you could say it refers to a lifestyle that's conducive for going deep in chanting. Yeah. And that is Krishna consciousness, you know. That's our Krishna conscious practice. That's our Krishna conscious culture, you know. We don't go to football matches. We we don't do this. We don't, and we don't go down the pub. We don't eat, you know, we eat only prashadam. So socham, yeah. So manasamharanam, the practice of focus and lifestyle to accompany, and mona. Anyone knows what mona means?
Remaining quiet.
Yeah, remaining quiet. So generally, it's Vaishnavas don't follow this, but we try and avoid this. As we know, it's there in Nectar of Instruction. Prajalpa niyamagraha. Yeah, we try as much as possible to speak only about things that are related to Krishna, and that's going to help our japa. Of course, some of you work, some of you interact with non-devotee family members, etc., etc. But as much as possible, we want to avoid unnecessary idle talk. But sometimes, there's one devotee who I preach to, and he's very, how can I say, he likes talking to people, and he distributes books when he goes out shopping and things like that, and he gets talking to people. And he's quite well known around his town, you know, because he talks to shopkeepers, he talks to people in queues, in shopping queues and buses and things like that, you know. And he's quite well liked by many people in town because of his easygoing and his habit of being personal and speaking. So like he was asking me, like sometimes people speak to him and he speaks to people, and he was thinking, but I'm not always speaking about Krishna. So he's asking, is this good? He said, sometimes I feel bad because it's not always about Krishna. Yeah. So I just been reading about, I just remember about Sanatana Goswami, who he was loved in all the villages around Vraj, because he would visit all the villages and speak about their life, speak about their family problems, give them advice. You know, if the husband and wife had an argument, he would hear them out on both sides and he would give them instructions. He would give instructions on, you know, astrology, he would give instructions on everything, farming, and, you know, he was loved by everyone. So in that sense, I was saying to this devotee on preached is that no, because by in this context, your way you interact with people is actually prachar. It's actually preaching because they know he's a follower of Krishna, and because he's friendly, then they become intrigued about his lifestyle. So you get the point I'm saying here. We have to, you know, the specific circumstances, but in general, we don't speak. We want to not engage in prajalpa. Did that make sense? I was just sharing that. It's interesting how to
I think
understand the application.
so. I was thinking it's more internal and external thing. Externally, you could be there as actually as I am, but you have to keep your internal consciousness on Krishna. You see something, you hear something, you transfer it to how Krishna would say it, how you think about Krishna in that situation, like that. But externally, you are there.
Yeah, so Chandravali is explaining a internal sadhana that she does when she's engaged in the world, speaking to neighbors and things. There's always an internal Krishna conscious conversation going on. But also it helps. Can you imagine that, like, imagine if you had a neighbor, or most of you got neighbors, and you don't speak to them at all, never. And in one sense, if they're really antagonistic and they're really, that might be best to do that. But sometimes it might be good to develop a little conversation, because then it might be a chance of creating a good impression to them about Krishna. Anyway, you're all out there in the world. You have to, in your own way, you have to understand all these things. All right. So Mona, let's get back to the point here. So Mona, not speaking unnecessarily about worldly things. So much as possible, we want to avoid being too absorbed in news of the world. Have some, if we want, have some understanding what's going on, but we really don't want to follow the threads and the analytics of what's going on. At the moment, there's a civil war going on in America. Try not to get absorbed in these things. So Rupa Goswami calls this Prajalpa. Okay. So next one is mantra chintanam. So what does this mean? Let me read here. I've got notes here. Mantra chintanam. So we would. Okay, that's the next. So
Chintanam, the mantra is Chintamani.
no, it means that we should know the meaning of the Maha Mantra. Yeah, that will help. If we get a mantra, we have to know the meaning of it. There's many different meanings are given to the Maha Mantra, actually, according to one's specific devotional development and internal meditation. For the general understanding for us is that, my Lord, please engage me in your service. That's the simplest overall understanding of the meaning of the mantra. But let me just go here. Here's one meaning of the mantra. I haven't got who it's from, but you see, all our acharyas will describe according to their bhava, according to their ecstasy. They will give inspirations of the meaning of how Krishna is manifesting for them. So, the name of Hari indicates he who is free from all sin and from the threefold miseries, or it denotes that irresistible person who stills the minds of all living entities. Hari, including his own incarnations. In the vocative, Hari is expressed as Hare Krishna, which also means Hara or Radha, Jai Radhe, the feminine aspect of the Absolute, who bewilders Krishna's mind to no end. Yeah, she completely bewilders him. The name Krishna indicates the supreme all-attractive person. The two syllables Rama drive all sins from the heart and prevent them from ever returning. And Rama also refers to Radha Ramana Haribo, Radha Raman, the lover of Shri Radha. Yeah, so there's an example of the meaning of the Maha Mantra. Yeah. So the mantra chintanam. Yeah, you could say chintamani as well. I think you're not wrong there, Madhu Mangal. It's another way to look at it. That it's like a glorious gem that removes all inauspicious obstacles. Yeah. To our practice of chanting. Yeah. So in time, see, the idea of a mantra is that there's an Ishtadev. there's like when I was learning mantras to do yagnas, then before you chant the mantra, then there's a mantra you chant which gives you the name of the person who revealed it, the name of the Ishtadev that resides over the mantra, and it gives you the meter in which the mantra should be chanted. And you chant that before you chant the actual mantra. It gets very complicated. You know, but there's no hard and fast rules for chanting a Maha Mantra. But ultimately, success in chanting mantra invokes the personalities of the name of the mantra. Yeah. All right. And the word avyagratvam, avyagratva. So again, this refers to when one is absorbed and one is not distracted. Yeah. So you can say, in order to achieve that, we want to chant in a conducive place. Yeah. Where we can dedicate ourselves to quality cultivation. Yeah. So that means if we're chanting on the train or on the bus, you know, we're not really seriously cultivating Nam Bhajan. You know, sometimes we may have to. Like I'll be chanting on the plane, and every time I chant on the plane, my rounds are rubbish. I haven't obtained the, you know, anyway. So avyagratva, so we're reminded that it's serious what we're doing. So we want to find a conducive place. So where we can be less distracted, where there's not as much distraction. Yeah. So that means putting the phone away or turning it upside down, closing the computer, you know, being creating a culture as well where people with you or your family know now he's chanting, now mum's chanting, now our grandma's chanting, and no playing with kids at that time. Grandma's chanting, dad is chanting, like that. So we want to create that kind of culture, you know. So also anivedo and anivedo. This we spoke about in the first classes on attentive and inattentive chanting. It's mentioned in the Harinam Chintamani. Oh, what's coming back in? That we means no indifference. So we shouldn't be indifferent. Yeah, indifferent. It's very difficult to become intimate with someone who's indifferent to you. Okay, so we should avoid being indifferent. It's mentioned in Harinam Chintamani is one of the obstacles towards pure chanting. Yeah. What does indifferent mean? Can someone perhaps give us
like ignorant?
No.
Like doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It means you don't care much. You know, Harishnikaram,
No valuable. It's no value.
not valuable. Yeah, very good.
No
Thank
value.
you, Modern Mongol. Yeah. It's not valuable. You don't care for it much. You know, it's valuable. The holy name is valuable, and we care. Yeah. And that will breed affection. Yeah. That will develop affection. So also to chant, we also chant with loving feeling. All right, we may not have prema. Okay, it may not be manifest to us, but we should kind of draw the name. It's a kind of a bit esoterical. We want to draw the name into the heart with a mood of humility. Yeah. And firm devotion. Have that mood of humility and whatever devotion we can manifest. Yeah. It would sound strange, whatever devotion we can manifest. But we should be devoted to what we're doing every day. You know, we should have a sense of devotion towards our Krishna consciousness, and especially to chanting the holy name. So that's 6 aspects of mantra cultivation, which you might find interesting. Let me just check the time here. Okay.
I was thinking,
Please,
thinking
yeah,
to myself, you
questions.
know, when you like family, you say, "Oh, kids, what I love you, whatever," you know. But so you can bring that kind of loving mood because we don't have the proper prema or whatever. But you can bring that kind of mood of like loving Krishna, so chanting with that love, you know, seeing his lotus feet, seeing his beautiful face, whichever deity you are attached to, you can like, you know, concentrate on that. But that emotion of love there, it's not the proper love, but the feeling that you really love chanting, calling out his name, you know, and wanting to do it for his pleasure.
Yeah, so maybe a simple affirmation to ourselves, you know, simple affirmation. And also, in one sense, just being attentive means devotion. The fact that you're trying to be attentive, that means that is devotion. Yeah, means devotion. So we read that. Okay, so no, here's a question here. We're going in a little bit of a different direction here. Now we have mentioned we haven't focused so much on it, but we have mentioned that there's 2 kinds of sadhakas. Okay, one, those who cultivate smarana of Krishna name, rupa, guna, lila, and those who do not. Right, so just hold on, we'll explain. Now the difference between let me do. Now, whether one cultivates smarana or one just is happy to hear the sound vibration, okay, both these practices will move to a progressive meditation on Krishna's name, his form, and qualities and pastimes. All right, now, that may be a bit confusing. Let me clarify a bit more. Okay, now the difference between the 2, the first one who cultivates smarana is doing it by their effort. Hare Krishna, and you're picturing Londonishvara, their lotus feet, for example, and you are doing it by effort. Yeah, making sure that you're also fully attentive to the name. Now, in the other one, where one is just hearing the sound vibration, it will manifest by the grace of the name. Then the form, qualities, and pastimes will manifest. Okay. So this question here, does cultivation mean that a sadhaka must make a systematic effort to go through the sequence of Nam, Rupa, Guna, and Lila to enter astha-kalia-lila? Oh, it's getting advanced now. That's Krishna's pastimes throughout the day. Or is it just enough to hear the mantra? It's a common question we have. Yeah. So
in the beginning might be easy. In the beginning might be just enough, but you need to meditate on the pastimes and it will be more relishing.
Well, you should naturally come to the stage. You want to naturally come to the stage where, let me just read this. To relish the nectar of Krishna's pastimes, meditation on the names of the Maha Mantra is enough. So there's no obligation to simultaneously meditate on Krishna's form and so on. Now, some devotees may prefer to do that, and it may help them. Yeah, but there's no obligation. And here's a quote. This is from Prabhupada. And why is there no obligation? Because it happens naturally as we progress in chanting. So this is from, someone like to read these two slides here?
Could I read?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. Lecture Srimad Bhagavatam 6 to 11, 1971. The purification of chanting Harinama means as soon as you chant the holy name of Krishna, immediately you will see the form of Krishna. You will realize the qualities of Krishna. You will immediately remember the pastimes of Krishna. This is pure chanting of Hare Krishna mantra. This is the commented by Srila Jiva Goswami that a pure devotee who chants Hare Krishna mantra immediately all this nama, rupa, guna, lila, parikara, and vashishta.
Okay, so there's this continues, but just highlight these things. The purification of chanting. So when someone has been purified and they develop the adhikar through that qualification, then Sudanam, this is what's happening in pure chanting. When one is chanting without offense, yeah, then automatically, Prabhupada says, you will see the form of Krishna, etc. And the quote continues. Go on.
Simply by chanting name, you will feel the form of Krishna. Here is Krishna, nama, rupa, guna. Here are the qualities. Oh, Krishna is so qualified. He is so kind. He is so magnanimous. So many qualities you will remember. Nama, Rupa, Guna, Lila. Then his pastimes. Oh, Krishna instructed Arjuna. Krishna played with his cowherd boys. Krishna had very nice talk with the gopis, with his mother Yashoda. These things will be remembered. This is factual perfection of chanting.
All right. So Prabhupada says that here. All right. Now, the transition through these different stages, as you probably get, yes, it is scientific, and there's a specific way that it happens that Prabhupada's explaining here. So we tried to map that out so we can understand what is actually systematically happening. So basically, we begin through learning to be attentive to the syllables of the Maha Mantra. And it's 16 syllables. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Now that will have a purifying effect on the heart. Now, when that stage matures, Krishna's form appears in the heart. Okay? Now, the more clearly a sadhaka chants the name, then that bhajan will proceed with the accompaniment of Krishna's form. So the name's still there. Yeah, so the name's still there, and then the form is there. Okay? It's not as if a devotee, when they're meditating on the form, they're not meditating on the name. Because remember, the name is not different from Krishna's form, it's just revealing that. So that name is revealing the form. So as that in one's bhajan, as the form becomes prominent, then one's gonna be eventually going to be free of the influence of the modes of nature, which includes the mode of goodness. Okay, this is advanced, you know. Now, as that matures, the maturity of that meditation, either by one's own practice of smarana, the ability to remember, or by the grace of the holy name, it really, the maturity manifests when the name and form become inseparable. And that's what Prabhupada is describing here. Whenever the name is there, Krishna's form is there. Whenever Krishna's form is there, the name is there. There is no difference. Yeah, they are inseparable. So exactly, that's what Prabhupada is describing here. As soon as a devotee says the name Krishna, he perceives the form of Krishna within his mind, and vice versa. Now that by meditating upon in that way, by grace or by practice, yeah, then the next comes the qualities of Krishna's form manifest in the same way as did his form. And then the qualities become increasingly present. Then they join with the name and form to further increase Krishna's presence. So it's not as if when the qualities manifest, then the form is out of mind and the name is out of mind. No, everything is just kind of opening up like a lotus. Yeah. So Krishna then eventually form, qualities, pastimes, and associates, and abode, and the spiritual world itself. Then the pastimes. So this is Sudanam. This is advanced chanting. Yeah. Okay, so I read this here. A deep and natural meditation in which the name literally dances on the tongue brings unimaginable delight to the sadhaka. All right, so a devotee is not falling asleep at this stage of chanting. It's impossible to fall asleep. Yeah, we want to get to that stage where we're tired and we start chanting and then we're not tired. You know? And then when we stop chanting, we may become tired. But as soon as we chant, we become untired. You know? That's called ruchi. That's called we have a taste for the holy name. That you're tired, you start chanting, and then you're not tired. Yeah. Right, let's see. Yeah, I've got to finish on time today because I've got another I'm doing something here 7 o'clock. But any questions on that? Kind of understood?
So the form always is there when you chant, but because we are not purified enough, we don't see it.
Yeah,
the more you purify, the more it's gonna bloom and it's gonna open up, and your spiritual senses will develop more or purify and appear. You're gonna perceive Krishna more and more.
Yeah, that's in essence, that is actually what is going on. The more you get purified, the more we are, and it all comes from attentive. The more we're attentive to the name, then all these stages is going to happen quicker. If we're not attentive, then it's not going to happen, basically.
It's like you put water through the ear. It's like you plant the seed through the ear, and through the ear you pour the water, which falls in the heart.
Something like, yeah, through the ear you pour the water of the holy name. All right.
Could it be like you chanting and the forms there, and you've seen pictures of pastimes, they can just appear, Krishna's pastime.
Yeah, now that's why all these, as we mentioned, there is two practices. There's one where one's making effort, and there's one where it's kind of happening as a natural revelation from the holy name itself. Yeah. These two, but that's basically what's going on. So we may, you can try, I think we mentioned this many times, you could try some adventures while you're chanting. But the key is that we want to there should be a natural, it should be natural. We shouldn't try and force it too much. If we're trying to force it too much, then we're going to be chanting the Maha Mantra incorrectly. All right, now I'm just trying to think whether perhaps we will pause there because this is quite a discussion next. Mantramayi and Swarasiki. Yeah, I just pause there perhaps. Hope you don't mind, but did any questions? Any other questions on what we just explained? Yeah. So just so we're clear, we're speaking about two types of devotees. One devotee will be more, could say, attracted on the stage of Raganuga sadhan, where they're actually practicing by their effort to meditate on Krishna's name, form, qualities, and pastimes. Yeah. Now that effort should be as a natural consequence of their purification. They should at least definitely be able to chant 16 rounds attentively before one may begin or try to expand their meditation, for instance, to Krishna's form. Yeah. Someone else may just be chanting this sound vibration and listen to the sound vibration. At some point in that chanting, they will find themselves naturally thinking of Krishna's form, qualities, and pastimes. Yeah. You understand? So some devotees will be cultivating the more Raganuga sadhana. Some will be more comfortable in just hearing the sound vibration. And then they will become spontaneously attracted to Krishna's name, form, qualities, and pastimes. Yeah. I can see a few devotees looking very thoughtful and deep. All right, perhaps that's enough to meditate upon for your japa tomorrow. You can have good and try to remember some of these principles, and yeah, you can try meditating on Krishna name. I've had different experiences. Sometimes I try to meditate on Krishna's name, form, qualities, and pastimes. Sometimes with no success, sometimes with some success. But I like to absorb myself as much as possible, not all the time, all day, but I do like to read Krishna's pastimes for the specific purpose of my japa. So that, but I don't try to force it. So it's naturally within my subconscious mind, because you've heard about the pastime. So it's there within your subtle body. That's why we're here. We hear Krishna's pastimes, and then when the chanting is concentrated, your memories of what you read about Krishna manifest from that name, and you may get absorbed in what you have heard about Krishna. That's why what is going to be revealed to you through the chanting is only going to be what you have read. What you have read about Krishna and his pastimes, that is what is going to be revealed to you. Generally, that's how it works. That's the rule. First hearing, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaran, and then Smaran. But one day what I describe it, it's not exactly like, okay, you read the pastimes, you read about the pastimes, Krishna in the morning, and then the next day you sit down and I'm going to meditate on Krishna in the morning now. It's not like that exactly. It's that you're meditating on the sound. And then by the grace of that sound, what you have read may manifest within your memory. And you're chanting the mantra, and at the same time, it has revealed to you your shravan, what you've been hearing about. about Krishna. Yeah. And as we know, sometimes no matter how much hard you try, there'll be no entry. Doors will be closed. No matter, and that's Krishna's grace, that's Krishna's mercy. And then sometimes when you're least expecting it, you know, you may have woken up late and you sit down and you pick up your beads and then, wow, you have such an absorbed japa for no apparent reason. Anyway, I'll better sign off here because there's devotees waiting on another call. So thank you everyone very much. And
Thank
look
you.
forward, I'll be back in London, so we'll be back, try and get back to our normal time for you.
It's
Okay.
o'clock.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hari Hari, have a
Hari Hari.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you.
have a
Hari
happy
Krishna.
Shabbat.
Hare Krishna. Jai Sri Krishna Deva Chapati Tanam.